Hey warriors, welcome back to the channel. The world doesn't hate the weak, it simply uses them. This is the first truth you must accept. There is no mercy written into the laws of existence, only hierarchy, only consequence. You were raised to believe that goodness protects you, that fairness governs outcomes, that if you mean well, life will repay you in kind. But step outside the illusion and look closer. Every system, biological, social, psychological, rewards strength and punishes fragility. Nature doesn't apologize for it. The lion does not mourn the gazelle. The storm does not pity the tree that falls. Weakness is punished not because the world is cruel, but because it must be. It's how the hierarchy of life preserves itself. And yet, human beings are the only creatures arrogant enough to deny this law. We disguise weakness behind morality. We call it kindness, humility, or patience, and we hope that others will honor it. They don't. They exploit it. Because the truth is this: pity is not respect. It is disguised contempt. When people pity you, they see you as something beneath them, something manageable, predictable, harmless. They don't protect you out of empathy. They protect you out of dominance. In every group, in every relationship, in every room, there's a silent test taking place. The strong look foretells. The tone of your voice, the way you hesitate before disagreeing, the way you over-explain yourself when challenged. Every gesture becomes a signal, every word, a confession. And once weakness is seen, it's remembered. It changes how people treat you, speak to you, negotiate with you. Even those who smile at you begin to adjust their tones softer, slower, condescending. That's the punishment. Invisibility wrapped in politeness. Machiavelli understood this law centuries ago. He wrote that men judge more with their eyes than with their hands, meaning people believe what you project, not what you intend. The world doesn't see your heart, it sees your posture. It doesn't measure your goodness, it measures your strength. And the moment you appear harmless, it assigns you your place below. So what is weakness, truly? It isn't lack of muscle or wealth, it's lack of will. It's the inability to say no, to defend your boundaries, to bear discomfort without folding. It's the fear of conflict dressed as virtue. It's silence when you should speak, compliance when you should resist. The modern world tells you that softness is sophistication, that tolerance, submission, and emotional exposure are signs of growth. But look closer, those who preach it rarely live by it. They demand tolerance from you while exercising dominance themselves. They call you toxic for asserting yourself, but secretly envy the control they lack. That's the game. Weakness is encouraged because it's useful to the powerful. A submissive population is easier to lead. A compliant man is easier to control. And a person desperate for approval will trade anything, even dignity, to get it. So remember this: in every system, there's an unspoken economy. The strong command, the weak comply. The only way to change your position is to stop negotiating with pity and start embodying power. Ask yourself, where are you still hoping to be understood instead of respected? Where are you choosing comfort over consequence? Because life does not punish you for being good. It punishes you for being defenseless. And until you accept that truth, you will remain prey in a world that only honors the dangerous. Remember this law, it governs everything. Weakness isn't forgiven, it's fed upon. Power doesn't corrupt men, it reveals them. This was Machiavelli's world, a time drenched in blood, betrayal, and political theater. Princes rose and fell overnight. Alliances meant nothing, and mercy was often just the calm before execution. In that chaos, Machiavelli learned the first principle of power. The world isn't ruled by fairness, it's ruled by strategy. Morality, mercy, and kindness are not laws of nature. They're tools to be used by the strong and abused by the weak. You live in a softer age now, but don't be fooled. The same game still plays, only the weapons have changed. Back then, it was daggers and armies. Now it's reputation, status, and perception. The battlefield has moved inside the human mind. In The Prince, Machiavelli wrote, "A wise ruler cannot and should not keep his word when it puts him at a disadvantage. To the naive, that sounds immoral, but to the strategist, it's survival. Because loyalty in a corrupt world is suicide without leverage." Ask yourself, how many times have you been punished for doing the right thing? How many times has honesty cost you opportunity? How many times has your restraint been mistaken for weakness? That's Machiavelli's mirror. It doesn't show you how the world should be. It shows you how it is. He understood human nature better than anyone. He knew that beneath the mask of civility, most people are driven by fear, gain, and appearance. That's why he said, "Men are ungrateful, fickle, deceitful, and greedy." It wasn't cynicism, it was realism. He simply refused to lie about what he saw. And when you finally look through that same mirror, you begin to see how modern society operates no differently. The office, the relationship, the digital stage, each is a kingdom, each filled with princes pretending to be servants and servants pretending to be moral, power dynamics disguised as virtue, manipulation camouflaged as empathy. But here's the truth, Machiavelli whispered to those who could hear. Power doesn't belong to the good, it belongs to the aware. It isn't cruelty that wins, it's clarity. The clarity to see human behavior for what it is, not what it claims to be. The clarity to understand that fairness exists only between equals and that equality is an illusion carefully sold to the submissive. Remember this, when the weak preach morality, it's never about justice, it's about control. It's a silent request for protection from those stronger than them. And when the strong speak of mercy, it isn't because they've forgotten their power, it's because they know it. Mercy without dominance is weakness, but mercy backed by fear is stability. That's why Machiavelli taught princes to be both lion and fox, to inspire fear and to hide cunning behind civility. That duality keeps order where honesty alone would fail. So look into the mirror. Ask yourself, which reflection do you see? The man hoping the world will play fair, or the one who's learned how to survive it? The first will be devoured. The second will rule quietly, without ever needing to raise his voice. That's the Machiavellian truth. Power is not evil. It's simply the ability to see clearly in a world that prefers blindness. And the moment you accept that, the game changes forever. Love is cheap. Fear is expensive. That's the hidden law of every hierarchy, emotional, social, or political. The world runs on invisible currency, and the strongest always control the exchange rate. You've been told to seek love, to win hearts, to be liked. But Machiavelli warned you long ago. Because love is unreliable. It disappears when convenience fades, but fear, properly cultivated, endures. Fear, in this context, isn't terror, it's consequence. It's the awareness, deep in others' minds, that crossing you carries a cost. It's not cruelty, it's structure. And without structure, there is no respect, only sentiment. Think about every dynamic in your life. The boss who's too lenient loses authority. The friend who never says no becomes invisible. The partner who forgives everything eventually inspires nothing. Kindness without consequence doesn't create loyalty. It breeds entitlement. That's the Machiavellian paradox. If you wish to be truly respected, you must first be slightly feared. Not because fear dominates, but because it defines. Fear gives shape to respect. It makes love more disciplined. It makes loyalty conscious, deliberate, accountable. And yet, the modern world rejects this truth. We are told to be endlessly kind, endlessly available, endlessly soft, but in doing so, we trade authority for affection. We forget that power is not sustained through comfort, it's sustained through control. Control doesn't mean oppression. It means emotional gravity, the ability to make others think before they act toward you. It's the silent presence that makes disrespect feel dangerous. It's the steadiness that commands rather than pleads. Ask yourself, when people speak to you, do they measure their words? When they cross you, do they hesitate? If not, then you are not respected, you are tolerated. Fear and respect operate like twin currencies. Fear builds boundaries. Respect fills the space within them. Together, they create stability. But remove one, and the system collapses. Look at how Machiavelli's princes ruled. They understood that love unprotected by consequence decays into manipulation. A ruler loved by all soon becomes a servant of his subjects' emotions. But a ruler who inspires both love and caution holds equilibrium because he is trusted and taken seriously. That's the psychology of power. Respect without fear is fantasy. Fear without respect is tyranny. But when they coexist, when strength is wrapped in composure, you create something far greater than admiration. You create weight. Weight is what keeps your name in the room when you're not there. It's what makes people lower their tone before addressing you. It's what separates the men who lead from the ones who follow. Remember this. In the economy of power, love inflates, but fear stabilizes. Every great empire, every enduring legacy, every unshakable man built his foundation not on affection, but on consequence. So, stop chasing love as proof of worth. Start building presence that demands respect. Let your kindness be selective, your tolerance conditional, your silence deliberate. Because in a world that punishes weakness, it isn't love that protects you. It's the quiet power of being someone others would rather not disappoint. Empathy is not always a virtue. Sometimes it's bait. You've been told that understanding others makes you good, that compassion is the highest form of strength. But Machiavelli would warn you otherwise. He knew what most people refuse to admit. Empathy in the wrong hands becomes leverage. To the manipulator, your compassion is currency. They study it, mimic pain, and use it to move your emotions like pieces on a chessboard. Because once your empathy overrides your judgment, you are no longer guided by reason, you are guided by guilt. And guilt is the leash that drags powerful men into submission. Think about it. How many times have you forgiven too early? How many times have you given someone the benefit of the doubt and they used it to wound you again? How many times have you confused understanding someone's pain with excusing their behavior? That is the trap. Empathy without boundaries dissolves strength. It makes you predictable. It makes you exploitable. And in a world ruled by power dynamics, predictability is the first step toward defeat. Machiavelli understood this in politics, and it applies just as brutally to your psychology. A ruler who shows mercy before establishing authority invites rebellion. A man who shows kindness before earning respect invites contempt. It isn't cruelty, it's sequence. Mercy must come after strength, not before it. Because if you lead with empathy, The world assumes you fear conflict. And once that assumption is made, every manipulator you meet will test it. They will exaggerate their weakness. They will perform helplessness. They will craft stories of pain, not to seek healing, but to seize control. They know that the moment your empathy activates, your defenses lower, your boundaries blur. And once your compassion starts negotiating with your instincts, you lose command over yourself. Remember this: compassion is a weapon only when it's aimed. Uncontrolled empathy is self-destruction disguised as virtue. Controlled empathy is strategy. It allows you to understand emotion without drowning in it. Ask yourself, when you feel someone suffering, do you observe it or do you absorb it? Because one makes you wise, the other makes you prey. This is what dark psychology calls emotional mirroring. The manipulator reflects your values back at you until you confuse them for a Tespo's friend. They say the words you long to hear. They mimic vulnerability to make you drop your guard. And before you realize it, you've traded awareness for attachment. Machiavelli's advice would be simple: never show mercy until it benefits your position. Never offer understanding until it stabilizes your control. Because compassion without strategy is just surrender by another name. You can be kind, but only from strength. You can forgive, but only when punishment has meaning. You can feel deeply, but only when your emotions serve your discipline, not the other way around. That's the principle Machiavelli lived by, and it's the same principle the powerful live by today. They care, but selectively. They empathize, but strategically. They show mercy, but never before it's earned. So the next time your heart tells you to understand, let your mind ask, who benefits from my understanding? If the answer isn't you, then your empathy is being used against. In the theater of power, every emotion must serve a purpose, and empathy, when untamed, becomes a noose wrapped in silk. Remember this: the man who can feel and still remain unmoved, that man is untouchable. Power isn't loud, it's structured. A fortress doesn't prove its strength by shouting, it proves it by standing. That's what boundaries are: your walls, your gates, your silent declaration of where your power begins and where the world ends. You've been told that respect is earned through kindness. It's not. It's engineered through limits. Because the human mind, like a wild animal, only respects what it cannot cross. In The Prince, Machiavelli warned that rulers who wish to be loved too much end up despised. He understood something psychology now confirms: when people sense that your boundaries are flexible, they test them. And when they break them, they never forget how easy it was. Respect doesn't live in affection, it lives in restraint. It lives in the pauses, the refusals, the quiet moments where you say, no. That's the paradox of dominance. The more you try to please, the weaker you appear. The more you assert limits, the safer others feel around you. Boundaries don't repel people, they define the terms of relationship. Without them, everything collapses into chaos. Think of a kingdom without walls. Every invader passes through. Every ally becomes a threat. That's what your life becomes when you lack structure. Everyone feels entitled to your time, your energy, your emotional space, because you've never declared what's sacred. In modern psychology, dominance isn't about aggression, it's about calibration. The ability to regulate access, emotion, and availability. To teach others how to approach you and what happens when they don't. You don't need to shout, you just need to enforce. Once, with precision. Because every time you allow someone to overstep without consequence, you train them to do it again. And soon, your silence becomes permission. Machiavelli called this governing perception. He knew that a ruler's authority didn't come from cruelty, it came from consistency. People could predict his reactions, not manipulate them. He didn't need to rule through fear, he ruled through structure. That's the art of modern dominance, to stand so firmly within your boundaries that others instinctively adjust around you. Your no becomes law, not because you shout it, but because you live it. Ask yourself, where have you allowed access without cost? Where have you mistaken tolerance for wisdom? And how much of your exhaustion is self-inflicted, the byproduct of never defining your limits? Remember, this dominance is not control over others. It's control over access to yourself. It's not aggression. It's precision. And in a world that's constantly trying to infiltrate your peace, your ability to guard it is your true power. So, build your fortress. Let people know your walls aren't made of pride, they're made of principle. You decide who enters, how deep they go, and when they leave. That's not arrogance, that's sovereignty. Because power doesn't come from how much you give, it comes from what you're willing to withhold. And once you master that, once your boundaries become the architecture of your life, no one will ever mistake your kindness for weakness again. Power isn't just possessed, it's performed. Machiavelli understood this better than anyone. He wrote that a ruler must appear merciful, faithful, humane, religious, and upright, but be ready to do the opposite when necessity demands. Because perception, not purity, commands obedience. You live in the same theater, only now the stage is digital, emotional, psychological. People don't see who you are, they see what you project. And in the realm of perception, control is reality. This is the first law of image. Truth is secondary to impression. The world doesn't reward authenticity, it rewards composure. It rewards mystery. It rewards the man who reveals just enough to be intriguing, but never enough to be predictable. Most people overshare. They confess. They explain. They try to justify themselves to the court of public opinion. But every word you give away is ammunition someone else can use against you. Remember this: the one who speaks least controls most. Silence is not weakness, it's surveillance. When others reveal themselves, you collect data. When you reveal yourself, you lose leverage. This is why Machiavelli warned leaders to control appearances, to perform virtue strategically, to wear masks that influence behavior, not to deceive maliciously, but to protect authority. Because power is fragile when exposed too soon. Psychology confirms it. Humans fill silence with projection. They assign meaning to what they can't explain. So when you stay composed, mysterious, and emotionally unreadable, you force others to build narratives around you. And the longer they guess, the more power you hold. That's the paradox of perception. Uncertainty breeds influence. When people can't predict your next move, they hesitate. They self-regulate. They treat you with caution, not because you've threatened them, but because you could. Ask yourself, how often do you clarify your intentions just to be understood? How often do you correct others' opinions just to feel liked? That's weakness disguised as honesty. You don't need to be understood, you need to be felt. Let your presence carry questions that no one can answer. Let your expression hold neutrality so still that it unnerves those trying to read it. Let your unpredictability become your security system, because what can't be anticipated can't be controlled. In Machiavellian terms, this is the mask of power, the art of controlling your reflection in other people's minds. You don't fight perception, you design it. Every gesture, every pause, every reaction becomes deliberate architecture. You engineer an image that speaks louder than your words ever could. The weak demand to be seen for who they are. The strong construct who they must be. It's not deception, it's design. Because influence is not given to those who are genuine, it's given to those who are calculatedly clear and strategically obscure. So, practice controlled ambiguity. Let people assume what they will, while you shape their assumptions from the shadows. Your unpredictability becomes a shield. Your restraint becomes a weapon. And when they finally realize that your silence holds more weight than their noise, they'll stop trying to define you. They'll start orbiting you. That's the Machiavellian mastery of perception. The world doesn't need to know who you are. It only needs to believe what you allow it to see. Ruthlessness is not the absence of mercy. It's the mastery of it. You've been told that being ruthless means being cruel, that to be hard is to be heartless. But Machiavelli understood something far more precise. True ruthlessness is discipline. It's the ability to act without hesitation when hesitation would cost everything. He wrote that mercy shown before authority is established invites rebellion. Mercy shown after control is secured cements loyalty. It isn't about being cold, it's about timing. You see, weakness rushes to forgive. Strength waits until forgiveness has meaning. Because mercy without leverage is noise. But mercy with power is music. It harmonizes fear with respect. Every man must face this internal divide. The urge to be liked versus the need to be effective. The world doesn't punish those who are harsh. It punishes those who are inconsistent. That's why the Machiavellian mind values clarity over comfort. It knows that people don't fear cruelty. They fear uncertainty. When your actions are measured, deliberate, and predictable in their justice, even your ruthlessness feels fair. People can adapt to firmness. They can even respect it. What they cannot respect is softness disguised as morality. Ask yourself, when you show mercy, is it a strategy or a reflex? Do you grant forgiveness to maintain peace or to maintain control? Because in the calculus of power, mercy is currency. Spend it too early, and it loses value. Spend it after dominance, and it buys loyalty that fear alone never could. Machiavelli taught rulers to wield punishment swiftly and mercy slowly. Swift punishment shocks the system into obedience. Measured mercy stabilizes it afterward. That is the dual rhythm of control ruthlessness, followed by restraint. You must learn to become emotionally detached from your own judgment, to decide without the interference of pity. Because pity is personal, and leadership is not. You don't owe the world kindness. You owe it order. The man who controls himself controls others, not because he suppresses his emotions, but because he directs them. He knows when to strike, and he knows when to stop. That's the essence of Machiavellian discipline. Dominance through calibration. This is not about becoming cruel, it's about becoming decisive. You act when it's required. You forgive when it's earned. You love without dependence. You punish without pleasure. That's the balance. Because power without empathy becomes tyranny, but empathy without power becomes suicide. So, train yourself in the art of controlled ruthlessness. Don't move from emotion, move from necessity. Don't show mercy because it feels good, show it because it serves purpose. When you master that sequence, you stop being reactive and start becoming sovereign. Your mercy gains weight, your silence gains meaning, and your decisions, once feared, become the architecture of respect. Remember this: the cruel man seeks control over others. The disciplined man commands control over himself, and that is the highest form of power. The modern world praises the gentle man, but secretly despises him. He smiles too much, apologizes too often, confuses compliance for virtue and submission for peace. And when the world takes advantage of him, he wonders why kindness brought him pain. Machiavelli would have answered it simply, because weakness is punished, not always through violence, but through neglect, dismissal, and quiet contempt. You see, the nice man isn't harmless because he's moral. He's harmless because he's afraid. Afraid to offend, afraid to assert, afraid to be seen as powerful because power would make him responsible. He hides behind empathy, behind constant accommodation, but people sense it. They sense the lack of edge, the absence of consequence, and they treat him accordingly. This is the paradox of modern softness. The more you avoid conflict, the more conflict finds you, because life doesn't reward those who avoid tension, it rewards those who can endure it. In relationships, he becomes invisible. His love feels safe, but uninspiring. He asks instead of commands, pleads instead of leads. And when his devotion is met with boredom or betrayal, he tells himself he was too good. But that's the lie of weakness. It cloaks fear as goodness. It disguises the inability to confront reality as moral superiority. In business, it's no different. He works hard, stays polite, and wonders why others climb faster. He waits for recognition from a system that only respects assertion. He mistakes being useful for being valued. And soon, he learns the cruelest rule of all. The more indispensable you try to be, the more replaceable you become. Machiavelli warned against this illusion centuries ago. He said that men who rely solely on goodwill without strength stand naked among wolves. It wasn't cynicism, it was realism. Because the world doesn't pity weakness, it feeds on it. Ask yourself, how many times have you betrayed your own instincts just to stay liked? How often have you bit your tongue to preserve peace that was already broken? That is the slow death of the gentle man, the erosion of his spirit through self-denial. Remember this, virtue without strength isn't virtue, it's performance. And every act of self-betrayal chips away at your soul until you no longer recognize the man in the mirror. The path forward isn't to abandon kindness, it's to fortify it, to become capable of harm, and then choose restraint, to carry both compassion and consequence in your presence. Because the strong don't need to prove they're good. Their strength makes their goodness undeniable. So if you've lived as the gentle man, the one who bends, apologizes, and pleads, this is your reckoning. You don't suffer because you're good. You suffer because you've refused to evolve. Rise from that naivety. Sharpen what's been dulled by fear. Reclaim your aggression, your clarity, your boundaries. And the next time someone looks at you, let them see what the gentle man forgot to become, a man capable of peace because he's capable of war. Weakness will always be punished. That is the first law of the world, and the last one you must outgrow. You've seen it by now. In every relationship, every negotiation, every hierarchy, nature plays by one rule. It spares no one who cannot protect themselves. But the lesson was never to become cruel, it was to become conscious. Machiavelli didn't write for tyrants. He wrote for survivors, for those willing to look at life as it is, not as they wish it to be. And he revealed a truth that still cuts like steel. Pity without power is poison. It turns you into a savior with no strength, a shield with no armor. The world doesn't pity the weak, it only uses them. And every time you beg for fairness, you confirm your inferiority to those who write the rules. So, you rise not by demanding respect, but by commanding yourself, by mastering emotion before it masters you, by standing still when chaos provokes movement. Because composure is the highest signal of control, and control is the essence of power. To transcend the law of punishment, you must become the strategist. You must think like the lion, but move like the fox, strong enough to dominate, wise enough to adapt. You do not seek safety anymore. You create it through vigilance, awareness, and restraint. Ask yourself this: when someone wrongs you, do you react or calculate? Because the man who reacts remains prey. The man who calculates rewrites the game. You must learn to hold your silence longer than others can tolerate it, to let your calmness feel like pressure, to make your stillness more intimidating than their noise. That is modern power, invisible, disciplined, unshakable. Remember this: true strength isn't about conquering others, it's about never being conquered by yourself. The dangerous man doesn't need to prove his danger. He radiates it quietly, effortlessly, like a storm that never needs to announce itself. You've walked through the law of consequence. You've seen what pity costs and what restraint creates. Now you stand at the edge of mastery, where mercy is chosen, not begged for, where peace isn't found in softness, but forged in control. You are no longer prey. You are no longer the one punished for being good. You've become the strategist, the one who understands that power isn't about domination, it's about precision. The world still punishes weakness, but it no longer applies to you. Because you've learned the Machiavellian truth that the dangerous man is not the one who destroys, but the one who never needs to.